to The Night Shift, your safe space for talking about UFOs, UAPs, NHI disclosure, interstellar objects, the Sphere Network, and other things, all kinds of stuff. It's great to be back with you. We have been on a little bit of a hiatus. It's been a little quiet around here, but we're back in full swing today with our panel. We've got Xander, Dan, Pavel's here, myself, and we're going to get into the big news of the week. There's a lot going on. We've got an interstellar object, 3I Atlas, hurtling towards our solar system. Jeremy Corbell's out there suggesting that that might be part of the lie that we're going to be told, that some kind of scary threat is on its way. I don't know if that's exactly what he's saying, but it sounds like it. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Beatrice Viel's work. She's got the paper that came out that I apparently completely missed, and Pavel and Dan and Xander are going to bring me up to speed on. Can't wait for that. And we're going to talk about Skywatcher. What's going on with Skywatcher? Where have they gone? Where have they been? What's happening? There seems to be some weirdness going on behind the scenes all throughout the UFO community. So we're going to talk about all of it. But before we get into that, welcome everybody. It's great to see you. I see our chat is already full. Psionic Man's here. Rain's here. Hey, Rain. Who else? Obi-Wan Shinobi, Geraldine, Paradigm. Great to see everyone. Great to be with you. Please smash that like button before we get too deep into the show. It helps goose the algorithm, and we can use all the help we can get. We're trying to get this thing out there. So please hit the like button. Let's get it up to, we should have easily 200 likes by now. All right. He's the musician behind the famous Night Shift hit theme music. He's also the producer of the Friday night live stream and The Wind Beneath My Wings. Xander Jones, how are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Thank you very much for having me, and thank you very much for the lovely intro, as always. On the illustrious album, you know how last year we were talking about how difficult it was to arrange vinyl, to get vinyls printed.
Oh, yeah.
So in the course of my normal duties as a regular civilian, I've since been introduced to a company that can do effectively print-on-demand vinyls, and they can do them at a reasonable price. So I have a question. It was released a little while ago now, but if there's still a hunger for a vinyl version of the album, let us know in the comments, and we might now be able to make it possible for a reasonable price. It's some great news. Honestly, I was blown away when I was introduced to this company.
I would do one for sure, just for me.
I mean, I want one.
We have to do a few. We got to do some for the guys, at least. I'm sure that would be, guys in the chat. Let us know if you want to do that. We'll figure that out. That would be great. I've got by the way, Xander's the proprietor of the Dreamland Motel, the other smash hit YouTube channel and part of the network here. And I've got my Dreamland Motel shirt, which I just want to show off to everybody if you're watching. If you're wondering what these shirts are like, they are spectacular. It's an awesome fit. It's super comfortable.
Beautiful.
The best. So go pick one up.
Things are moving fast.
He is a 6-time world karate champion. He's the master of Dim Mak Death Touch. He's also the host of the Others from Another Mother and Rare Form Radio podcast. It's Dan Cleary. How are you, Dan? Great to be back
really
with
good. I'm always practicing. I'm always stretching, and I'm always ready. Okay, always ready.
They call him the Peacemaker.
That's me. It's good to see you guys. I missed you very much. It's been a couple of weeks for me, so I'm really happy to be spending my Friday with you guys.
You've been on a top secret kind of like behind the scenes mission. Can you talk at all about that, or are we too early in that?
Oh
too
my
early.
God.
Too early.
Okay.
But I need to share some stuff with you guys. But I came into possession of some really, really incredible documents and audio recordings that I want to talk about at some point soon. But some pretty exciting stuff, possibly.
Oh, I'm so excited, man. We have to catch up on that offline.
For sure. Yes.
I thought we could build some hype, though. We got get the hype train going.
We'll get it going. We'll get it going once I know a little bit more what I got in my hands.
He's the host of the smash runaway internet sensation hit YouTube channel / podcast Psychoactivo. He's a friend. He's practically family at this point. Pavel, how are you, my friend?
We are family. Hi.
We are family.
How's everyone doing?
Like that hat.
I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm representing the Doomer Fridays. I'm the one.
Yeah, dude.
So thank you to Dan for sending that over, man. That was amazing.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm doing well. It's been a really busy week. A lot of things are happening. Just as we were speaking, there were a couple of things that jumped out just now, which are really interesting. But let's do this. I miss
You were the breaking news guy. Like, that's just who you are now. You know that, right? Like,
yeah. Newsbreaker. Yeah.
like half the reason I'm doing these on Fridays is because I need you to just catch me up on everything because I'm so far. I'm like, I can't keep up. You're texting. You're like, did you see this? I'm like, no, I didn't. When did this happen? 15 seconds ago. How did you miss it?
Yeah, I like to say, and this was happening since my days in sports journalism, that the news kind of finds me. It's kind of weird because I'm just scrolling and I just see it as it goes out, and I don't know. It's funny.
Well, we appreciate it.
Can I ask you guys, just out of curiosity, do you get burnt out on the UFO topic during the week when you're just like just being in it all the time and like making content and talking about it, thinking about it?
I feel like I go through a little burnout every few years, but it's usually lasts maybe a few weeks. But weekly, not really. No. Especially because there's so much good stuff happening now. But I get burnt out on the drama part of it quite a bit. So like when people are like warring and talking shit about each other, that's when I kind of like, I'm gonna take a week and just kind of not get involved in this.
I feel like that too, the drama. Pavel, what about you?
The nasty part of it's that drama, and I'm sorry, but I'm just gonna say it. The UFO Twitter sphere is filled with drama, and when I first got into this space, I started going into UFO Twitter spaces, and that was a big mistake for the most part. I have met a lot of really cool people in there that I still talk to and I really like, but I think that those spaces are either hijacked by intel folks and they don't allow for free conversations to happen, or it's just Twitter, like it's just a cesspool because it's always been designed that way since Elon took over. And it's really unfortunate because I think that those spaces, for example, were a unique opportunity and a missed opportunity to do something really cool, which is integrate the community overall. And that hasn't happened. Quite the opposite happened. So that's the only thing that burns me out of this. When I was doing sport journalism, I did it for nearly 15 years, and I only got burned out during the last 2 years. The first 13 were sweet sailing, man. And that's how I feel right now when I'm doing the work and when I'm reading books and when I'm speaking with you guys, which is one of my favorite days of the week to hang out with you guys. So, yeah, it only burns you out if you allow it to.
I feel like the more I look at Twitter, the more unnecessary drama I see. Like if I stay out of Twitter, I'm able to be fine. Like I don't really get burnt out on it. But you're right. Yeah, the Twitter space seems to be where the weirdness creeps in.
It's kind of on purpose too.
You think so?
Yeah.
How about you, Xander? Do you get burnt out looking at this all week long? I mean, you've got other stuff going on. You're a dad. You've got other jobs and stuff. Like, what is that? How does that fit in with your regular life?
It doesn't. It means late nights, but that's fine. I'm like you guys. The drama will just turn me off. Like as soon as I start, I was saying to you before we went live, Clint, how anybody can operate in this sphere whilst at the same time say they are 100% sure of something and everybody else is wrong is insane to me. We're working with the assumption that the government and private military industrial entities are hiding the existence of interstellar beings, and yet you've got half of the community saying, "No, I've been told by some top scientist who's in the program that they're time travelers," and the other half are saying no, that they're actually, like, I don't know, interdimensional beings. It's like, none of you guys know. I don't know. Like, just chill out a little bit. Even if you're 90% sure, leave that 10% there on the table and listen.
Yeah.
Do you? Well, I mean, how much of that do you think is just people's ego, like running away with them, and how much of it do you think is people being deliberately fed incorrect information, and then just to stir up the community so that you have these warring factions? Do you think it's a little bit of both?
I think people, by and large, when it comes down to, like, meeting someone face to face, talking, even though we've never met, like, I trust you guys. And if you guys told me something, I would believe what you're telling me, even if it's wild. And I think this is the case. Like, if somebody claims and can prove they were in the program, some people will just say, okay, they're in the program, they definitely want disclosure, I will believe anything they say. And we know that's not the case. Yeah. But when human nature gets into things and you get to know people, some very charismatic people can be very deceptive. It kind of helps to be very charismatic.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's probably just something for everyone to bear in mind. Like, yeah, some people might seem very genuine, but anything's possible.
Diana Pasulka talked about it a little bit in her New York Times interview from like a week, where it was. She said that she realized early on that she could have easily been suckered into providing misinformation to people. Like she knew that she could be recruited for that purpose. So she was deliberately sort of suspicious of everybody she was dealing with because she just didn't know. And I think that, to kind of like flesh out what we're talking about for people who maybe aren't up to speed on all this, there's been, Xander, you and I were just talking before the show about some of the big names in the UFO space who have kind of suddenly changed their opinion on things, or changed their vantage point, changed their perspective, changed their public statements about what it is that we're dealing with, what we might be looking at. I'm thinking about like Ross Coulthart with the Tic Tac thing a few weeks ago, saying that that's definitely 100% for sure Lockheed Martin technology. And then we've had some more recent claims in just the last few days that have kind of come out that are in conflict with one another. Pavel, are you keeping up with all this stuff? I mean, in terms of like who's saying what to who, and we had the Eric Davis thing about Dan Burish. Can you explain a little bit about what this was?
Yeah. So back in December, I think it started in October, sort of. There were a couple of podcasts that released from people who are working directly at DARPA, the Department of Energy, NASA. That was like the first time that I really heard somebody actively working there talking about UFOs in a candid manner, and really very matter-of-factly, like saying stuff that I'd never heard somebody like that say before. One of these podcasts had Dr. Ana Brady Estevez, who all of you guys may know. She used to be part of the National Science Foundation. And in one of those podcasts, which is called the Ecosystemic Futures Podcast, episode 69, there were both Dr. Hal Puthoff and a man that I didn't know, Dr. Richard Banduric. And Banduric said some really, really incredible things about materials and about... He very matter-of-factly said that he thought they were extraterrestrial. That was the words he used. And I reported on it. It didn't get any really big traction, but I knew that that was really interesting and important because both Hal and him were there. They had an exchange. Hal asked him to get materials so he could test them. They said yes. I don't know if they followed up. I don't think they did. But then those clips became viral last week, and everybody now is talking about Dr. Banduric. And when I was reading Whitley Strieber's The Fourth Mind, I realized that there's a chapter dedicated to Banduric, and about his work on propulsion. And it just gave me the weird sensation that if somebody from the scientific establishment who wasn't really known would like come out and say something about disclosure from the scientific community, it would be somebody with his type of credentials. But the UFO Joe Murgia, he asked Dr. Davis about Banduric, and that's when Davis said that Banduric was a liar, on par with Lazar, Burish, and other two guys. I think it's Moran and another guy. And I thought that was disappointing because I don't know what Dr. Davis is really saying, you know? Is he saying that a man who has been funded by the National Science Foundation and by NASA is spreading misinformation? That's what he's saying? Because I don't understand that reaction from him. And I get that Joe Murgia probably has a good back and forth with them because he's known them for a while, and that he probably thinks maybe they are like the leading authority on these topics, and maybe they were for a while. But something that I think people need to understand, and it's not just in science, it's in the content creation aspect, and the military and politics and everything. This topic needs to reach everyone, and the more people that come into the space, is going to be better for everyone, because it's going to be credentialed people like Dr. Banduric, for example. And getting in this sort of headspace of competition and calling each other out names and stuff like that, I don't think that helps at all. So that's my opinion on that, and that is what happened. I can show you links of the times that he was funded, that his work was funded by the National Science Foundation directly. And I don't know. I think that both Dr. Davis and Dr. Banduric would do all of us a great service if they came out and talked about this like more openly, instead of going into like a broken telephone game and just confusing everybody, because that was confusing.
I feel like part of the problem is that there's it's like the way all of this is happening is through social media is kind of the worst way for this to play out, right? Like it would be better if like you just said, they could just sit down and just like what do you know? Just bring us up to speed in one big press conference so that it's out there. Or, it just feels like it's a he said, she said kind of back and forth on Twitter, and then somebody does an episode of a podcast about it, and then the audience gets a snippet of a conversation taken out of context or maybe not, but you don't know. And we're all trying to piece together a puzzle that's so complicated to begin with. It's like the personality conflicts happening in the space are just, I'm with you. It doesn't seem to help anything. And we have a question from Psionic Man in the audience. This came through a super chat question. He says, Pavel, what does it mean to point fingers and pull the liar trigger? I'm not sure what that means, George.
I just heard Dr. John Blitch talking about this, that his father taught him, and this was on the Matt Bell Limitless podcast. It's a great conversation if you guys haven't seen it. And he talks about this. He says, my father taught me that when you're in an argument with someone and that someone starts calling you names, you won the argument.
Yes.
That is so true.
Yeah.
And the way I see it, and just to give a little leeway to people like Dr. Davis or Dr. Putoff, or maybe even Corbell himself, because I know that Corbell and Knapp, they get exposed to a lot of stuff that they can't talk about. And they know that at some point they're going to be asked questions or asked about people that they can't discuss, and they need a reaction for that. And whenever they get caught unexpectedly, sometimes the reactions are like what Dr. Davis did. And it's not because they don't like the person. It's just that they don't know what to say, because they know that they can't say the truth. So that's the first thing that comes out of their mouth. And
So
Many of them have signed NDAs too. So that's also really dangerous. If you violate one of those, you go to jail, dude.
well, yeah, everyone's tiptoeing around through that minefield on top of the already complicated matter of trying to talk people through this and handhold them through it. But you've got Banduric's claim was that in the Ecosystemic Futures podcast, can you explain in a little bit more detail what exactly he was saying? He was saying there were devices. Can you talk about what
first of all, let's just preface this by saying that this guy worked for Lockheed, worked for NASA, worked for DARPA, all three. Right now, he's like the CEO of his own company about propulsion. And that paper that he wrote that Whitley Strieber highlighted in his book is also about propulsion. So that's one thing. But what he was talking about there was that he handled materials that seemed to be self-programming, kind of. It reminded me of like really advanced nanotech that you see in the movies, sort of like that. That's what I thought when he said that. He said that they were they cloaked and decloaked whenever they felt like they were seen or something like that, and they reacted. And Anna asked if they were smart materials. I think she asked, and he said yes. And that's when he said, "I think they're extraterrestrial." And
he also, may I just point out, he also said that the materials acted differently depending on who was handling it, and basically the intentions of the person that was handling it. It knew what they wanted to do with it, and it would like self-destruct if the wrong people were handling it.
Yeah, they would turn into dust.
Yeah. Like, no, you're not touching me. Yeah.
And you know what that ties into, and this is really important. That ties into a lot of lore of the quote unquote ancient technology that a lot of people have talked about for a long time. And this is like from that crowd that looks and researches that, they think that this is the secret that the establishment is hiding. This sort of ancient tech that does exactly what Banduric was describing, which I was like, what the hell? That's so wild.
It's like the sword and the stone, where it only works with the right person.
So it sounds like, so he said that there is this basically like smart dust, nano fabricated devices or whatever all over the place, like everywhere they look, like all over the world, some kind of a monitoring network. Is that what it is? Like a sensor network to observe the environment and pick up data? Is that what it is?
I guess it's objects of many different sizes. That's what I understood.
I think
some of them might be bigger. Some of them are like particles. But that's why he said trillions, because many of them seem to be just like that, particles.
I understood them to be like, effectively, they're just like little rocks, little tiny like grains that they keep finding, and it's almost like it's a bit of a one size fits all. They have this nanoparticle that it can become part of a craft. It can become part of an instrument that is used. It's basically changes to fit the purpose that's needed for it, and so it could be part probe, or it could be one of 100 other things. It's kind of like just a building block, I think, is what I understood. And it could be like a shard of metal, could be a tiny little piece of debris, but they all kind of work the same, and they just try and blend into their surroundings, and they talk to each other, even though they seem to be pieces of metal without any computational power. So we don't know what they are, but it seems to me they're sort of a building block.
What a world.
It sounds like smart dust, which is something that they've been talking about forever. This idea of like a smart particle that you could spray out of the back of a plane, or you could just put them everywhere, and then they would be like little teeny tiny sensors that would pick up everything on the battlefield or in a city or whatever. And if you look up smart dust on, if you just Google it, you'll get a Wikipedia article that says the Rand Corporation was putting out a paper in 1992 on this, on the potential military applications of the technology. So it sounds like that's what this is in a way. Like, did they have any pictures of these, or have they got? It sounds like they know what they look like. They've looked at them in the lab, right? Do they have any hard data on these things?
The way he said it, it sounded like he even handled them.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. And you know what's funny though? That's just what Banduric said is just scratching the surface of what happened back in October and November. He was just one of many scientists who spoke about many different things. They spoke about like superconductors that could enable faster than light communication. They talked about space-time manipulation. There's this doctor called, his name is Chance. I don't remember from which university, but he essentially is trying to prove that time travel is possible. And it's like really early stages of his investigation, truly. But the topics of conversation that were had in those conferences were mind-blowing to me. And Banduric is just like a little tiny part of... I was invited to a 9-hour summit where like 15 scientists or something like that gave a presentation. Hal Puthoff was one of them. Hal gave a presentation about remote viewing, which he hadn't done in a while, and it was. I think I'm gonna. I have a few episodes on those from that time period. I will give you the links if you want, but you guys got to check that out. It's gonna start getting viral little by little, like clip by clip, because it's.
Well, Pavel, what was Eric Davis saying he was lying about when he said, Banduric's a liar? What was it about this smart dust thing?
Hold on.
Or was he talking about something else?
Also, Pavel, do you know if Davis and Banduric have ever met or spoken?
I do know that Davis has said that he met Banduric before, and that he's been talking about him in his circle. I don't recall the exact tweet. Hold on.
Now, Two Wolves in the chat sends a super chat question. He says, wasn't Bledsoe and family asked to hold a piece of metal and Chris had a big reaction?
Yep.
Yes. And it was really weird. Like they watched it react to him, and then who was it who gave it to him? It was Taylor, right?
I think it was Tim Taylor. Yeah.
Yeah, Taylor gave it to him, and he was like super confused. It reacted somehow to Chris Bledsoe, and then Taylor was looking at him like, why you? Like, what is it about you?
Wasn't there another case of that as well at Los Alamos?
The guy, what was the oh my God, what's his name? The guy from the Kennedy administration who just put out that interview with Jesse
Malmgren.
Harold Malmgren.
That's what I was thinking about.
Fuck. I'm so tired. I haven't slept.
You're getting demonetized.
Yeah, he had the same claim, and then Jesse Marcel, was it Jesse Marcel Jr.? I think Jesse Marcel Jr. said something about the material when you touched it. I don't know. This claim has been run around. Like, I've heard it so many times that the things just react to you. But I'm just wondering if that's what so what was Eric Davis saying he was lying about? Like, what was Banduric's lie, according to Eric Davis?
Okay, I'm gonna send Xander right now the tweet where the quote is, and we can read it all
is
together.
Is it the UFO Joe quote?
Yes.
All right, I'll show it on screen. I've already got it. I have shown it on screen already. But
that's where Eric Davis says where he met Richard and what he thinks about it.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. There we go.
Okay. Banduric is a liar on par with Burish, Lazar, Fauci, and Michael Moran. I've already told his story in other chat groups because I met him at the 2021 JANNAF virtual meeting. No real UAP, WUSAP personnel would ever come out and say one single...
isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. USAP. Say one single word about their work because of the counterintelligence investigation, polygraph, prosecution, and conviction for violating the relevant national security laws and regulations. Those people are held up to a much higher security scrutiny than guys with TSSCI. Okay. It sounds like it all sounds like it's, makes sense, right? Like, I don't know. Why would anybody say anything if they've got all the danger of violating an NDA and counterintelligence people coming after them? And I don't think anybody knows what's going on.
Banduric did say in that podcast that people got angry at him for being on that podcast and for talking publicly. So potentially he could have violated an NDA. And I'm just going to tell you, I reached out to him on LinkedIn and he responded. And I asked him to be on the show, and he said that he would only do podcasts if he had permission. And he hasn't responded since. So I don't
Mr.
know.
Banduric, I give you permission. Go ahead, sir.
What's the matter? You got school tomorrow, man?
Gotta ask mommy first. Yeah.
Go ask mom.
Possible as well. These guys deal with a lot of different technologies. It's possible that like his NDA didn't cover that specific piece of information. Maybe he has NDAs. Well, he alluded to the fact that he did have NDAs for like lots of other stuff. Maybe he was just taken into a room one day and shown this stuff because the other guy thought it was cool, and he never actually worked on it.
He never mentioned he was part of the SAPs or WUSOPs at all. He just said he handled the materials, but he didn't say he was part of those. So,
and just to link it to possibly to Bob Lazar, what they allegedly sent Element 115 to Los Alamos to be worked on under a disguise of, they called it LA 1000, and the guys that worked on it at Los Alamos might not have known where it came from or anything like that. It's just they're given this cool piece of material.
Didn't he say that's where they machined it into the little triangles?
Yeah.
By the way, if anybody wants to know, this is my sticker I got from Luigi. This is the Element 115.
Oh, that's that's it? The fuel source?
That's the fuel source. It's not this. I mean, this is a sticker.
How does he know that? From Bob? It's so
Bob said
intricate.
it in an interview. I don't know if. Oh! How does he know what it looks like? Bob. Yeah, Bob. It's all. They talk to Bob.
Yep.
That's wild.
That's what the whole Gravatar project is. It's all the detailed like recreation of Bob Lazar's story. We're still waiting on Luigi to tell us when this premiere is going to be, so we can announce it to everybody else. But yeah,
and go to Vegas.
Yeah, dudes.
So, okay, so stepping back from Banduric and Eric Davis for a second, we've got other people in the space that have been sort of changing their story or saying different things, or things have been like getting a little bit weird in the last few weeks. We had Ross Coulthart come out with this Tic Tac claim about the Lockheed Martin manufacturing these Tic Tacs, that he's saying it's Lockheed Martin technology, which sort of caught people off guard. I think there was a little bit of pushback on that. We've got the clip that's been circulating with Jeremy Corbell saying that there's going to be a lie coming soon. And this was a clip from a few months ago. That you're going to be told a lie, that there is some kind of object coming towards Earth and it's a danger. It's an alien object. And then just a few days ago or recently, last week or two, we've been talking about 3i Atlas, this interstellar object. Avi Loeb has been making the rounds on various podcasts. He's got a piece up on Medium. He was on News Nation talking about this. He says that it might be an alien object because of the likelihood of being so low that an object from deep space would just pass through our solar system like this. He says it's extremely unlikely. So there's a lot of different like claims and counterclaims going on, and I'm wondering what you guys think about those. And is something happening behind the scenes? Are things changing? What is going on?
I can share the Corbell "You're Going to Be Told a Lie" video if you want to watch it.
Yes, and then we can show the News Nation clip with Avi talking about the thing too, which I'll pull up while you do that.
Your government now wants you to know one truth. And that truth is that UFOs are real. They've already done told you. Sometimes when you want somebody to know a truth, it's so you can set them up to believe a lie. And that's coming. I have zero doubt that lie is coming.
What is the lie?
Specifically, you want me to say it right now, for real? Real? On camera. To be put in the show?
Come on, Jeremy.
Okay. Problem with that. If we tell the lie before it's told, they can adapt. That wouldn't be wise. I'll tell you privately, but I would really think about if you want to put this in your show. For real. That's a real thing I'm telling you. So will you think about it before putting it in your show?
Absolutely.
Okay. So UFOs are real, and they've been here a long time.
Hold on, he thought about it. He's made his mind up already. It's only 3 seconds later. He knows he's going to put this in the show. He doesn't
This
even know
is
what he's
fucking
about to
in.
unfold.
This is
He's
so
building
in.
the drama. I'm here with my popcorn. I'm just like, go.
And that's the truth. But the lie is coming. All indications, like all of them, is that that lie is going to be that there is a craft slowly making its way to us here on Earth. And that is the lie they're going to want you to believe. It's nuanced, how they explain that, the nature of that threat. But that 100% is the lie you are going to be told. You even got a date. People have been whispering a date for a long time now. I know where that lie comes from. I know specifically what document from the 70s initiated the idea of that lie. A classified document. That is the lie you will be told. You're going to be told that there is a craft on its way to Earth. That's the lie. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I sent you 2 texts today with a year. Not from me. Nope. I'm not going to propagate that lie. Not going to be part of it. Not going to say it to the camera. Everybody knows. Just start paying attention. And they'll change the date, especially if they see this. Things will change. Because maybe I'm trustworthy. Maybe I'm worthy of your trust. Maybe I've told you the truth the whole way through it. Now you can verify it. If that's the case, then I'm fucking dangerous. You've been told the truth about UFOs for a long time now. It's been pretty orchestrated. It's been pretty clear. And it's using people that are telling the truth and want to tell the truth. Ultimately, they want you to know something. They want you to know UFOs are real. Thank God we're finally there. We're all there now. They want you to know the truth. But why they want you to know that truth now? Hope I'm wrong, but it's terrifying. Think about it. Maybe it's good to get ahead of it. Call it out now before they do it. I'll be called crazy. That's okay.
That pesky TMC, man.
I love Jeremy because he makes me feel like I'm in a fucking movie. I feel like we're all in a movie. I feel like we're in Stranger Things or like the Goonies or something. I'm like, oh man, what's gonna happen?
He knows what he's doing.
I have a question
He's
for Dan.
so good.
There. What do you, when you watch that clip, how do you feel? Because you know him. You know him
Talking
really
about me?
well. Yeah.
Me? When I watch that clip, like I understand one of the main criticisms of Jeremy is that he's very like dramatic when he talks and gives information, but he really does believe it, and his heart is truly in the right place. But when I see that clip, I had heard about the lie coming for much longer before he like said that publicly, like maybe like a year or two, quite a while. So he's been aware of it for a while. So the timing is crazy that show came out, what, January or February? And here we are 5 months later, and we might actually be getting that possible lie or that story or whatever it is. But it is happening. I mean, he did say it was going to happen, and here we are.
So let's go to the next clip. Xander, I sent you the link. It's about a 5-minute long clip with Avi Loeb. And this is what we think may actually be the thing that Jeremy was referring to, if you haven't been following this at home.
It moves on a trajectory that is very unusual. It is aligned with the orbit of the Earth around the Sun, and it will get extremely close to the inner planets, like, for example, Jupiter, Mars, or Venus. It will arrive closest to the Sun when the Earth is on the opposite side, so we won't be able to look at it. And that's the point where a spacecraft could make a maneuver to slow down. And it's coming from the direction of the Milky Way galaxy, the center of the Milky Way galaxy, where the sky is very crowded with stars. So that's why it took a while to notice it. And altogether, the chance of this trajectory is less than 0.2% to be aligned with the orbit of the Earth around the Sun, less than 1 part in 20,000 to arrive so close to the other planets. And one wonders, could it be a design trajectory? And I'm not saying that we know, but I'm saying that we need to collect more data to figure out the nature of this object. And if it turns out to be a comet, if it's surrounded by a beautiful cometary tail that is glowing in the sunlight as it gets closer to the sun, so be it. But from now on, the Rubin Observatory in Chile will discover a new interstellar object every few months. And my point is, we should check whether any of these objects might be technological in origin, because it's a security risk to Earth.
Right. How do you check that? So it's interesting you mentioned about the trail that might indicate it's a comet. What would be the signs that it's not a comet?
Well, so I suggest first establishing a scale of risk from interstellar objects, similar to the Richter scale for the risk from earthquakes. A 0 would mean that we identify a beautiful tail, and it looks just like a regular comet. We can infer the composition of the tail. It's similar to comets. A 10 would mean that the object maneuvers in ways that cannot be explained by the force of gravity, that there must be an engine in it, or it has an unusual shape, or it has artificial lights. And there should be an organization that decides whether an incoming object could be a risk, because we talk a lot about existential risks from artificial intelligence, from climate change, from an asteroid that may impact the Earth, but we don't talk at all about the possibility of alien tech. And I think we should take it into consideration, because we sent out spacecraft that would leave the solar system.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. So it is estimated to be about 12 miles long, okay? You, and correct me if I'm wrong, you want to use NASA's Juno spacecraft to intercept the path of that. It has instruments that could study it. It could change the trajectory of the orbit. Can you explain a little bit more how this would work?
Yeah, so we should take advantage of the fact that it comes so close to Jupiter. It's quite amazing. If you look at Jupiter's orbit, it just gets to the point where 3I Atlas will be on the 16th of March, 2026. And I calculated that if we give a small kick to Juno of 2.6 kilometers per second, just around the time when NASA was thinking of just sinking it into Jupiter, because it's the end of the mission. And I'm saying, instead of letting it dive into Jupiter, just kick it out, away from Jupiter. Then, with the right orientation, it will actually intercept the path of 3I Atlas. And it's an amazing opportunity for us to learn much more about this object. Because we can't launch any rocket from Earth that would intercept this object. It's moving too fast relative to Earth, in the opposite direction of the motion of Earth around the sun.
You wrote that if this 3I Atlas is a technological artifact, it could be evidence of the dark forest hypothesis. What is that?
That's one of the solutions to Fermi's paradox, which is the question, where is everybody? And of course, it's possible that aliens are out there, but they are worried about predators, and therefore they are silent, as if they are in a dark forest. And if they see a civilization like ours, a young technological civilization that gets more powerful over time, and they are listening to us, they might send a probe or a spacecraft on a reconnaissance mission or with some other goals. And we should be ready for that. We should monitor the sky and be aware of that potential possibility. And just ignoring it is not intelligent on our behalf.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below.
Okay, Chris.
not-
God.
He's not
Download
wrong.
it.
What's that?
So
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. But what are the odds? Like, what are the? I mean, how weird is that? You know, that was the Jeremy Corbell thing was from. Was that the? What special?
UFO
was that?
Revolution. UFO
On
Revolution.
TMZ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know how it said 2027 in those texts? It's shown in such a stylish way, but Avi said that it would be closest to Earth like 2020, early 2026. It reminds
Near
me
Easter.
of Ooh, it reminds
That's
me.
what I was thinking too.
It reminds me of Independence Day when they're all expecting an impact, and then all of a sudden they realize the object is slowing down.
Slowing down.
Slowing down.
So maybe like we'll get to 2026 and we'll all be there like with our binoculars, and then we'll be like, where is it? And then they'll
It's
go,
blink. I see its blinker. It's turning. It's turning.
When is
That's
Easter
pretty
though?
interesting.
When
Easter's
is
in
Easter?
April.
Okay.
Um,
So just before Easter.
When is Easter? April 26th. Oh wait, no, sorry. When is Easter in 2026?
Easter is on Sunday, April 5th, 2026.
That's pretty close.
Just a week before. 2 weeks, something like that.
What are the odds?
So
The only thing about the odds thing that Avi said in that, I think he said it was like 0.02% chance that this would be an object in our galaxy. I don't see that as a good enough reason to think anything strange. Like, it's almost a bit of a religious fundamentalist take on why the universe, like, there's such a small chance that we're here and talking. Like, well, no, not really, because everywhere else has the same chance. It's just that for the past 13 billion years, this hasn't happened, but now it is. It's just something that is happening. And to a billion other planets, it's happening to them as well. Like, I wouldn't read too much into that.
So this is interesting because, and just for anybody who's wondering, he said 12 miles long. If you're wondering for just context what 12 miles long is, it's a super star destroyer. Go watch Return of the Jedi at the very end. The super star destroyer, not the regular star destroyer, 12 of those. So if it is a ship, it's a big one. That's pretty big. It's strange because Beatric Vieel has just posted this paper. She did a TED Talk 2 years ago, and in that TED Talk, she makes a very strong case that in the fullness of time, many civilizations will have come and gone and reached various levels of technological advancement, and they would all at some point send some probes out into space to look for each other. And so in one way to think about where we are is that we could be a target of other civilizations who are trying to find out if there's life here. They've sent probes to us, and maybe they're already here, or maybe they're inbound. But she seems to think they're already here. They would have been parked here a long time ago and just watching us develop. I mean, what are the odds that all of this could be coalescing at roughly the same time? It just seems very weird. The timing seems very weird. Like all of this messaging sort of on the same topic in the same wheelhouse.
we've kind of been saying forever, all of us, that everything's kind of coming together at a very strange time, like a true point of convergence for all things. So maybe it makes complete sense in a weird way.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that people who are correlating Corbell's quote of saying that it's a lie with these discoveries and the work and the thought experiment that, for example, Dr. Avi Loeb is doing and the experiment that Dr. Villarreal is doing. I think it's unfair to two scientists who are like going out of their way to try and investigate this and explore it in an earnest fashion. It's unfair because I don't know. You just got to look at the data. Those papers that Dr. Villarreal released, they're really compelling and really thorough. And she went through different stages trying to see if she could find a prosaic explanation, and she didn't. And the key part of that.
Can you especially for me, because I am not up to speed on this, summarize what it was in that paper and why, like how we've talked about 3i Atlas and what Avi is saying about that object. Now we're going to change gears, guys, and we're going to talk about Beatrice Villarreal's paper. Pavel, explain it to us. Bring me up to speed because I'm completely lost on this.
So the first paper she released was about these objects appearing where nuclear tests were taking place near the Earth's atmosphere. That was one. That was just a few days before the one she released on Sunday.
And these were being cited by within 48 hours plus or minus of an atomic test.
And the way she saw these was through something called astronomical plates, which they are run by different types of astronomy departments and observatories. Back in the 50s, which is pre-Sputnik era, before satellites, there was the Donald Mansell, who was always thought to be part of this Majestic 12 group, who took over in Harvard as the director of the astronomy department. And when he arrived as acting director in 52, and then he became the full-on director in 54. The astronomical plates that were taken then, that were recorded then, he destroyed about a third of those, the ones that were already recorded. And then when he started acting as full-time director, he prohibited for people to record anything in the sky. What he didn't know is that in the Palomar Observatory at the same time, there were also plates being recorded on a survey that's called the Palomar survey of, I don't recall, but it's in the Palomar Observatory. It's kind of close to where I'm at, actually. And these are the plates that Dr. Villarreal has been investigating for years now for the Vasco and the ExoProbe projects. And the key part of this is that what she discovered was from that era between 1949 and 1958, those plates were recorded at the Palomar Observatory, and those were intact. And what she saw there, that's what startled her, because the plates that were destroyed by Mansell at Harvard, that's why they destroyed them, because they show objects that are there, and then just a few minutes later are no longer there. And she found about 100,000 candidates, out of which about 70,000 kind of seem like they're artificial. They don't seem natural. So it's a lot, dude.
And that's 70,000 objects in our orbit, like close to Earth, that are moving, changing directions, and
yeah. And it's different shapes, different sizes.
But they're small. They're relatively small. They're like 4 feet usually. Like they're small.
And it looks like space debris, sort of. But it's she doesn't think it is. Honestly, I don't think she does.
So in the 90s, this Irish astronomer named Eamon Ansbro, who I interviewed a few months back, he was working with a group in Europe that basically figured out that there were these orbital tracks that you could lock in and predict when UAP sightings would happen on certain tracks. And they were basically like sketching this out and saying that their idea was, it looks like there's something that's on a regular schedule, just like clockwork, and they're moving in a very counterintuitive way. Like they're not moving the way that you would think they are. And he'd been talking about this for a long time, and it sounds like what she's talking about. Sounds like they're talking about similar things. And I saw there was a thing on X today, and I don't remember who was posting it, but they were talking about the sphere network, this whole idea that we're under some kind of surveillance network. There's like a whole surveillance web around the planet, and that's responsible for at least some of the UAP stuff that we see. Is that what you think this is? I mean, what do you guys make of what Beatrice is saying and how it may tie into some of this other stuff.
It seems like she's done the work, and it seems like she's showing her work, and it seems like there's really something to it. I mean, she's put a lot of time into it, and historically, she doesn't seem like someone who like jumps the gun for a story. I mean, she's doing science properly, and she's doing it with like the utmost care and respect. And I think that when she finally says something, we should really listen to what she's saying, because it's been checked, double checked, triple checked, and now it's still under peer review. But I'm looking forward to seeing what the peer review comes up with. But I think she's doing great work, and we should listen to her.
And also, she's part of the mainstream scientific establishment. Before she started doing this, she was like highly respected. She still is, but she risked a lot of her career by doing this, and she's been under a lot of stress naturally, because it's not easy trying to investigate these things, especially with the Menzel connection. Because if the Menzel connection is true, though, what this means is that the government, and potentially even NASA knew about this and they covered it up. And that's why she's been so nervous over the last couple of years, because it's really serious stuff. It implicates the highest places in the government and the mainstream science in the U.S.
Were there not observatories like in the Soviet Union that were making plates at the same time that could have been compared against the Palomar plates? Like,
And the Chinese too.
And the Chinese too, right? Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
but we don't have access to that intel. They don't share that type of intel.
Do we know if they were also covering up stuff with their own public or their own scientists, or any idea? Okay.
If anybody knows, it's George. He went there.
Yeah,
I would ask.
yeah,
I would
he's
ask
the guy.
George, what happened right after you came back from Russia? How was that briefing like? I would love to know that.
Where
He
did
doesn't have
all
to go
those
into
guys
detail.
go? There must have been an Operation Paperclip for the post-Soviet scientific community when the United States must have rolled up in there and said, "We'll take all your shit. We'll take all your guys." We probably had lists of people. They were probably getting these guys out months in advance. Who knows what that looks like? I mean, a lot of that expertise probably wound up over here. But so you've got her claim that there are objects in orbit or around the Earth, and then you've got Avi on a separate track altogether saying that there is this interstellar object that's going to be so close that we actually could send a spacecraft that is literally just sitting there with nothing better to do to go investigate this thing. Like that's unbelievable. How, I wonder, does Neil deGrasse Tyson get away without talking about this? How does he thread this needle?
Good question. Whatever it is, it'll be complete horseshit. But
Something that just happened, though. Something that just happened. I'm sorry that you know Mockingbird.
15 seconds ago. Mockingbird. No, I saw something about what's going on with Mockingbird.
I think Neil is part of that. I think.
This is the debunker social hangout or some group get together they're having.
Back when Watergate happened in the 70s, they discovered a project, an operation where the government and intelligence agencies had a lot of different agents inside of the mainstream media outlets at the time. And since they were discovered because of Watergate, it was allegedly disbanded. Yesterday, Tulsi Gabbard said that they are still operating and that she's trying to uncover what's going on. And I am doing a video right now where I talk about a thought experiment of how Project Mockingbird might have evolved over the years if it never died. And my best guess is that the new media is social media. And they still have their hands in mainstream media, but I think that it's smart if you want to run an operation like that in social media to get your own influencers and your own science communicators and your own everything and get their influence to control the narrative. And it just makes sense to me that people like Neil are part of that, or that article from the Wall Street Journal, you know?
Well, I think that's what I'm driving at, right? Like, is this what disclosure looks like when you're in it? it's gradually more and more highly respected academic people saying more and more crazy, bizarre things until eventually that's just the world we live in, and that's just the reality. Like, yeah, it could. What if it does turn out that this is an alien probe, and we are able to find out and investigate it with the Juno spacecraft? And if Beatrice is right, or even if some of these things, not all of them, but even if some of them are artificial, it's like how many more little gradual steps towards the truth do we really need before we're just kind of in it, and then it becomes accepted as normal?
So I think Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's probably not in on anything. He's definitely used. He's definitely given the spotlight quite a lot when really he's not exactly pushing the boundaries forward. He's kind of just trying to temper our own boundaries. But what I find about him, I put him into this category of the scientists that seem to have the hubris to mock subjects like this. And it's like, throughout history, anytime anybody's mocked something, it's ended up being true.
Yes. Yeah.
So, like, it has always, it's like, that can't possibly be real. Even Einstein said it, and he regretted it later on when somebody initially, it was Niels Bohr talked about quantum entanglement and how it was a product of the formula of quantum physics, and Einstein literally mocked it, saying I refuse to believe the moon isn't there when I'm not. Thanks.
Spooky action at a distance.
Yeah.
Your mic went out.
Yeah. We lost you. The deep
Am I
state got to him.
He's back. He's back.
Yeah, spooky action at a distance, and Einstein said it was his biggest failure after he finished doing what he was doing. He said it was his biggest failure that he just could never ever figure this stuff out, and he mocked it. They mocked the fact that somebody thought that the Earth might not be the center of the universe. Every single time, it's always been proven wrong in the end. So to have the hubris still to mock a very basic idea that we're not alone, and that they might be here already. Like, I don't know. He's.
I mean, to be fair to Neil deGrasse Tyson, as far as I'm aware, he has not responded publicly to any of this stuff yet. But I guess what I'm driving at is that he has put himself in a position to be the go-to guy for answers when people have questions about things like this. And now here comes Avi Loeb, whose credentials are not to be trifled with. Like, here's a guy right there at the very tip top of his academic world. And he's saying it could be aliens, and we can go look. We've got the Juno spacecraft. We just have to switch it on. It's literally, we were just going to crash it into the atmosphere. Let's go. Well, if you're Neil deGrasse Tyson and you're the go-to answer guy, you're the host of Star Talk, you're the director of the Hayden Planetarium, are you going to keep calling bullshit? I just want to know, and I'm curious what he does. If he does respond, he hasn't, as far as I know, said anything, but I just wonder, how do you tiptoe around this without confronting the alien thing? And what kind of smartass comment would he make? I'm like looking forward to hearing what he has to say. And Beatrice's paper too. Yeah. Same thing. Because this is where that's what I mean. The people who are making the unbelievable claims are gradually becoming so credible, and there's so many more of them that the naysayers are just starting to look silly at a certain point.
Completely. Yeah. Also, can you imagine spending so much of your time devoted to something that you don't believe in? You know what I mean? I'm obsessed with this thing that I don't believe in, and I don't want you to believe it either. It's like, well, move on to something that you're into, that you do believe in. What the? Well, I mean, shitty way to spend your time.
My thing with him is if you're an educator, right, and your thing is education. That's what you get excited about. That's what you're talking about. It's your passion. Well, what is better for an educator than a spark of curiosity among the general public? And if NASA has been successful at anything over the last 30, 40 years, it's that NASA has made space boring. They figured out a way to take the most fucking exciting, amazing thing and make it boring as fuck. And now you have an opportunity to get all of these people who are like into UFOs and are thinking about non-human intelligence and alien life. You could get them interested in this, bring them in. This is a wonderful opportunity. And Avi Loeb seems to be doing that. Like he's figured that out. But I just wonder why it's so hard for Neil deGrasse Tyson to embrace this subject or this community.
I just
seems like an obvious.
You go, Dan. You go, Dan.
I was going to say quickly that I don't think he's an educator much anymore. He's just a celebrity. It's like I'm not saying Steve Irwin is the same thing, but like Steve Irwin, ran a zoo. But at the end of the day, he was still just like a famous guy that got people interested in animals.
Yeah.
And Neil is just that for science, but he's more just like talk show guy and podcast guy. I don't know how much he's still teaching now, but he knows his shit. But I think he's no longer much of an educator.
He's a science communicator. That's what he is.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't lump him in the debunker category. He's a denialist, if anything. But you're going to hear from him really soon, Clint, talking about UAP. He has a scheduled conversation with John Kozlowski from Arrow on the 5th of next month.
Is he going to be on Star Talk? Or like
Yeah.
what? Oh, really?
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
Oh,
Watch
that'll be
party.
interesting.
Watch party.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. So wait a second. Let's back up to Tulsi Gabbard for a second, because you said Mockingbird. According to Tulsi Gabbard, Mockingbird is still going on. She's the director of national intelligence, and she says Operation Mockingbird, which is the CIA program to influence newsrooms around the country and like plant news stories, control the narrative publicly. She says that's still going on.
Details are important, though. Benny Johnson asked her about Mockingbird specifically. She did not mention Mockingbird herself, but she did not correct Benny when she was talking about it. There's a clip on Benny Johnson's X account where they talk about that. I also want to say that there's a lot of mistrust in government right now. And
What?
Tulsi Gabbard is part of that administration. So whatever that administration is right now talking about is always put into question because of how divided the country is.
Yeah.
So I don't think that only one side of the aisle has influence in the media like Mockingbird does. I think both parties have their own mouthpieces, and the intelligence community has their own mouthpieces as well. So yeah, I spoke to Danny Sheehan last year. I did a retweet of that video of Benny Johnson where Danny Sheehan, I asked him directly if he thought that Mockingbird was still alive and well. He said, yeah, but it probably has a different name. And I think that may be one of the reasons Tulsi didn't like mutter Mockingbird, because they
Right.
probably know what the new name is. They probably, if they do know, but yeah, it's really unfortunate how divided the country is right now, politically and ideologically, because it's hard to believe for one side what the other side is saying, or impossible at this point.
So if you look up the term fifth generation warfare, this is what comes up on Wikipedia. Fifth generation warfare, 5GW, is warfare that is conducted primarily through non-kinetic military action, such as social engineering, misinformation, cyber attacks, along with emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence and fully autonomous systems. Fifth generation warfare has been described by Daniel Abbott as a, quote, war of information and perception. There is no widely agreed upon definition of fifth generation warfare. That it has been rejected by some scholars, but it sounds like this is exactly what we're in right now. Like, it sounds
Yes.
like the ideological subversion thing that Soviet KGB defector Yuri Bezmenov, you've seen that interview he did, right? Where he talks about ideological subversion, like getting people to stop understanding what they believe in and stop believing in the same thing. It's like the psychological attack on the culture. And it feels like
to fracture people.
yeah, that's exactly where we are. It sounds like what he was saying just happened. very strange.
And I think it's also part of social engineering that has been going on for a while by, the powers that be. And when I say the powers that be, I don't mean governments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I understand. Super chat question. Christopher Cobb said, Pavel, is 3I Atlas the large deep space object you mentioned months ago that some in Congress were briefed on?
Oh, I think I muted Pavel.
I don't know.
Oh. We don't know. Short and sweet. Love it.
Yeah, I have no idea.
The first time he's ever been a man of few words. Interesting.
I mean,
well, let me
Congress,
add something.
Does anybody have any faith in Congress to accomplish anything?
Very little.
The point of that report that I did last year was just to talk about what these people were telling Congress folk within the walls of Congress. I did not intend to say that I thought the object was real or that it was a true story. The true story was that was being talked about within the walls of Congress, and that was my report. But it went out of control, and a lot of people misquoted what I said, and it got me really uncomfortable. But it is funny how people as respectable as Dr. Villarroel or as tenured as Avi Loeb now are investigating this, and this object just came out of nowhere, and it's way bigger than a Muamua.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, right, like look at the lineup, right? Like we've got a great lineup. It's like you've got Gary Nolan, you've got Avi Loeb, you've got Beatrice Vieel, you've got all of these other academics who've started to come into the fold a little bit, or at least feel a little bit more comfortable speaking openly about what's going on, what they know. And it sounds like, I mean, you've got the Salvatore Pais patents that came out. I mean, for people who are looking, disclosure is happening. If you're paying attention, it's happening all around you. It's like these little bits and pieces are coming into focus. And it's like, I wonder, is there like a breaking point where it becomes so obvious? I guess it would have to be if this thing turns out to be an alien probe or something, then we would really change the conversation. But it seems very incremental, but consistent, at least over the last few years.
Do you mean obvious to society, like as a whole?
I guess I have this idea in my head, and I have a hard time articulating it. But I guess the idea is that there's going to be a point where we as a culture, we all sort of agree that we're past the point where aliens were not real, and they're like it's not a maybe anymore. It's like, yes, I
think we're at that point. I think as a Earth, I think we're at that point where most people agree that aliens are real, that life exists outside Earth.
Or I guess maybe we see something. We see something. Like it's real. Yep. Like we, you know what I mean? There's a point where you
knowing and then knowing.
There's right? Knowing.
Yeah.
And I can't quite wrap my head around what that would take. And I'm always sort of wrestling with this question, like, what's it going to take? Is it like,
mass sightings for everybody on Earth? Mass sightings for everybody.
Yeah. I feel like
that's my favorite one. That's the one I want.
That's really interesting because yesterday when I saw that conversation between John Blitch and Matt Bell, he was asked this question, what would disclosure look like to you? And he went on a rant talking about how he expected many different species to be like on a podium and to just like announce themselves to humanity. And I was like, holy crap, this guy went straight there, like without even blinking.
How fucking awesome would that be?
That's what I mean, right? It would be so awesome. Like,
hi, I'm Gleep Glorp, and it's nice to meet you guys. Your food sucks. Whatever. I don't know.
I come from the race that abducts you, and then the next guy comes along. Like, I'm the one that stands in your bedroom when you can't move when you wake up in the middle of the night.
Hey, I'm Jim. I'm a Nordic. I've been protecting you guys for thousands of years.
I mean, for real, right? I mean, some of the UFO lore talks about meetings that have taken place, right? Like between Air Force brass, the president and emissaries from some other planet. There's the Holloman Air Force base landing story that is sort of legendary, where supposedly we've seen, and supposedly there's a clip out there. I've seen it. I think a lot of people have, but of a craft coming in to land. And supposedly these guys got out and they had these headdresses on. They were carrying staffs.
Like Egyptian style.
Yeah. And they met some Air Force brass and they had they shook hands. Like there was a whole greeting thing. And it sounds, at the same time, when I hear stories like that, my brain is thinking like, this sounds like an episode of a television show from the 1960s. This sounds like a Twilight Zone scenario. And so therefore, I think like it has to be some bullshit that they just planted. It's got to be something they hired someone in Hollywood to write some bullshit, and then they just spread some nonsense out there. But on the other hand, it could be real. What if it did happen? What would that be like? You know, what like if they did have some kind of official disclosure and a Nordic walked out, and they kind of looked like us, would people flip out, or would they call bullshit, or would they?
Yes,
You know.
and yes, and yes. Yes, all of it.
All of it.
But I do think we would adapt faster than people think. I think it would move along. It'd be a little while of shock, even for us. Like we love this stuff. But if that happened, if we saw a Nordic being introduced on like CNN, I would be like, holy shit. Excited, but like it's got to be a little bit unsettling, even if you're into it. So I think we would move past that quicker than people expect, especially if we didn't get killed. You know what I mean?
Or Joe Rogan.
Yeah, sure. I hope it's not there. It'd be so funny, but I hope it's not there.
I think it would be like it would be like discovering another continent that you could never realistically go to. There would only be like a one-way thing where they could come here, but there's really, unless they take us there, we're not getting to their world. That would just be really strange. I just wonder, I'm like, what does it smell like? What does the ship smell like? What does the material of the uniform feel like? When they describe people wearing these uniforms, I'm like, what is that? Is it
remember Jim Sparks?
cotton? Does it breathe? Is it?
Yeah.
You know
Jim
what I mean?
Sparks always said that the Greys smelled like a weird cheese smell.
A cheese smell.
Kind of like cheese, which is not great.
I mean, it depends on the cheese, I guess.
I guess that's true.
What? Maybe they just really
Like what? Yeah.
They don't have
is
dairy.
The skin? What does the skin feel like? Is it rough
I love cheese.
I've heard what
I love cheese.
the description I've heard of what they feel like. I think it was a Jim Sparks description. It might have been Jim Sparks who described it as like a mushroom. He's like they feel like you push them and there's nothing. Because he like would push them and he freaked out. He was kind of like unruly in the early abductions, at least according to his accounts. And so like I think a couple of times he pushed them and he's like there's nothing there. It's like pushing a 2-year-old.
Yep.
But the one that feels like it's made out of mushroom material or something.
I love pushing 2-year-olds. Man, so fun. On random. Anyway, no, it's interesting. That's really fascinating. That there's no mass to them. Right.
I mean, I guess there couldn't. I mean, how could there be?
Yeah.
So what a weird. What do you guys think about Skywatcher? Let's change gears and talk about this whole Skywatcher thing because they have been quiet lately, and then there was a flurry of activity just in the last few hours on their X account. What's going on with Skywatcher, or not going on?
Shall I start from the Reddit post that got a little bit of traction a couple of days ago?
Let's do that.
Okay, sure. So here we go. I won't bother reading this all now. I'll put the link if you are in the Discord or if you join the Discord. I'll put the link in. There's a section on the left-hand side called Live Links. I'll put the link to this in there so that you guys can read this in your own time. In fact, I will do that right now.
You can also cross-post it to the Reddit page, too, on our Team Night Shift Reddit.
Sure. So a little bit of a summary for it. Basically, this person claims to be a bit of an insider with Skywatcher. And he also then just basically goes on to say, in fact, I'm just realised you guys can't really see this. So he basically goes on to say that Skywatch has effectively been halted since after the second episode. He said that NDAs were forcibly signed basically straight after that episode, and they basically permanently prevent members from speaking about Skywatcher. And then he went on to say that episode 3 and all the promised public findings, they're all basically never going to be released, including the stuff on psionics and the dog whistle. And he says it was shut down by a 3 or 4 letter agency, and that the dog whistle was either seized or bought from them. Either way, they weren't allowed to keep hold of it. And yeah, it was basically a call to action that we should have transparency from Skywatcher and from. He also pointed to the popular podcast hosts that have had the pleasure of talking to Skywatcher directly. Basically, called them out a little bit.
And said what specifically?
He just said associated figures. They need to be more transparent about what they know about what's been going on. Basically,
did they give it? So this is a Reddit post that is attributed to someone who claims to be associated with Skywatcher, but there's no way to back that up or to prove any of this, right? This is just claims on Reddit.
Yeah, I went into. He had been talking to the moderators of the UFOs subreddit, and he just refused. He required to stay anonymous. So obviously we have to take this as it is. Yeah. It was just strange that we hadn't heard anything from Skywatcher since I think May. Luckily, they posted today. So
yeah, the silence is broken.
I didn't know that until you just said that.
Yeah,
I didn't know
they wasn't that long ago. It was about 2 hours before we started streaming. So I'll jump over to this tab now. Share this tab instead.
Oh yeah,
but it was kind of a weird tweet.
It was a little bit odd.
It was a little robotic.
So yeah, they're continuing to aggressively collect the data, and they're moving through the process outlined in their discovery framework. And yeah, they also address this post basically directly. Where did they say? Please ignore unsubstantiated claims or gossip, which historically has done this space an immense disservice. So, cool. I mean, that's fine with me. Just, give us the next thing to work with whenever you can, basically.
Yeah.
Does anyone know who runs the Skywatcher Twitter? Like who the actual person is?
I don't. I know that Lester Nare, that's his name, I think.
Yep.
He did the website.
Yep.
But I don't know if he runs the Twitter. But he's been doing technical stuff, but for a lot of organizations under the disclosure movement for a little while.
I'm going to ask Lester right now if he knows.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. The claim is interesting. It's interesting because it's drama. But at the end of the day, it's like we haven't had disclosure yet. It's been a secret. Like we're further along than we've ever been before. So as far as I'm aware, Skywatcher's doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. I mean, are they planning to publish the data publicly on the dog whistle so other people can duplicate their research? That was my understanding. Is that not forthcoming? Is that has that changed?
Well, we don't know. They haven't really communicated with us very much.
Yeah.
Right?
But I mean, in the initial rollout of Skywatcher, wasn't that the gist of what they were trying to do?
So if you go to the planning that they have, the like 6 levels, I think they were between levels 4 and 5, you get that Skywatcher has to be involved with governments and with entities that do legal stuff in the air, because what they do basically is all in the air.
Right.
And who has control of the airspace in the U.S.? The U.S. government, NORAD, those guys. So if this so-called deep state exists, which I think it may do, it only makes sense that an organization like Skywatcher is in danger of being infiltrated, I think. And although, yeah, because Matthew Pines, he's the director of strategy, publicly said that it was a fabrication, this Reddit post.
Matthew Pines, who's totally not involved in the intelligence community, like absolutely no possible way.
That the same guy.
That guy. Okay.
Yeah. And
Enough for him.
even though he said that, it's, I don't know, there's a lot of really weird stuff that's been happening. And there's people who are involved with Skywatcher who support the Reddit post, who at least know a few of the members of Skywatcher. I just sent Xander an image where somebody responds to that Reddit post.
Can we share this or?
Yeah.
Yeah? You sure?
It's on Reddit. It's from Reddit.
Oh,
I mean, you can.
Okay, including the Discord that it appears to be in.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. That's right.
Yeah. I will delete that right now. We need to provide, Pavel, you can provide a little bit of context as to why.
Yeah, so in a Discord, Mike Herrera confirmed that the Reddit post was real, essentially. And Mike Herrera...
the same... What? Go ahead. Sorry.
He was just on, I think it's going out today, a reality check episode with Ross. That was, according to him, the last interview he's ever going to give.
Yeah, he bailed.
Yeah.
He just tweeted a few hours ago, right? Like he's not doing this anymore. He's going to take a step back.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. That's what we were at the top of the show when I was trying to say. Like, was basically this. Like the foundation beneath our feet seems to be shifting now. Like we've been operating under a set of assumptions about what's going on in the disclosure world for about like 2-3 years. Those assumptions have been sort of based around like Skywatcher as a group doing a certain thing. You know, what was happening over here. And it just seems like in the last few weeks, really, it's all starting to shift. We had like all this weird stuff go on with Lou Elizondo and now this stuff with Mike Herrera and everything. It just, I don't know. Maybe I'm finding links where there are none and I'm just kind of...
It is kind of weird how everybody seems to have their own disclosure horse, you know, at the very top. Greer has his own narrative. Corbell and Knapp have their own narrative. Now, Russ Coulthard seems to have a different narrative compared to Corbell and Knapp. They disagree on the Tic Tac, for example. And I think that the people in the middle, and I'm not saying that I trust them because I don't trust any politician really, but imagine you're a congressperson who is trying to put together a hearing and you get bombarded by all of these different factions with conflicting information and you really have no idea of who you can trust or not. I would be stressed the hell out because of that. And that's exactly what's happening right now behind the scenes. Everybody wants for their whistleblower to be in the stand at the hearing, if the hearing happens. Everybody wants for their part of the legislation that was just approved again to be put in the floor to pass. And others don't want some parts to pass. And it's an eternal conflict. And I don't know if the main driving force in this is between people who believe that we should know all the truth and the people who believe that we should know it, but we should also protect national security. I think that's at the very middle of the debate and the conversation.
My problem with the national security thing is like we need to really just describe what we mean by national security. Like whose idea of national security are we talking about? That is such a blanket term and they use it for everything. They're like, well, national security, can't tell you, but says who? You know what I mean? Like some of this stuff, they're like, oh, we don't even tell the president. Why? National security. Well, fuck. Who does know? Like, how can people understand? It makes me wonder, the idea behind Skywatcher was they were going to do all this open source, open kimono, sort of publicly available, publicly accessible. It was going to be the People's UFO Research Project. At least that's the way I remember it being pitched. And it's like, well, okay, if you've got some technology that works every time you turn it on, and I mean, if it's not proprietary, which I don't, as I understand it, it wasn't some kind of proprietary thing. It was like a signal, right? It was like something they figured out.
They haven't confirmed They haven't said. I don't think they've said whether or not it's a signal necessarily.
I feel like this is going to have to leak at some point. Someone's going to have to just leak what it is. Because why couldn't you go out on a boat in international waters and away from, a U.S. airspace, and then run your own experiments? And if other independent groups could do this and verify and they can duplicate Skywatcher's results, well, boom, we've got something. We're there, and it's over. We're kind of over. Like we've at least we've verified it. More than one group has looked at it.
I wonder if any government caught wind of citizens taking a boat out into international waters to call in UFOs. I wouldn't be surprised if that boat ended up sinking in the middle of the ocean.
Talking about the Greer cruise?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Rest in peace, Xander.
Xander, you're going on
they
this.
use such a big boat. You can't sink it. It's unsinkable.
Unsinkable. Yeah, we've heard that before. I don't know if it's the civilian research of the Skywatcher thing. I do wonder how much we'd actually be allowed to get away with. I can't imagine very much, but who knows? I don't know.
And it's funny because one of their mottos is that the skies are not classified. The hell they aren't.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, right? Yeah. Obviously, that's not.
Tell the FAA that.
Yeah, right.
Pavel? What side are you staying on right now? Are you still in support of the idea that Skywatch is all fine? It's just they're taking their sweet time with episode 3, or do you think there's possibly some legs to it?
I guess I would have to wait and see what happens after this announcement. If they follow up on whatever they can do, and honestly, I'm not buying that they weren't in some capacity infiltrated, because there were a lot of things that happened right after episode 2 that seemed really weird. Like, for example, when they went to SCU, I have people that I know that went there and that they saw the whole entourage of Skywatcher, and they felt like something was off. That there was like the environment was really tense when they were around. That's really strange to me. So I'm not buying that they weren't told to shut up and not do certain things because they're classified or they could be classified. That dog whistle, I don't know if they're going to talk about it again, for example. If it has 100% accuracy, if this is true, if I was one of these companies or entities that want control over it, I would have just waltzed in there, make them sign NDAs, and tell them to shut the hell up. I would have done that. So I don't know if what they're trying to do now with this post is maybe reorient whatever they're doing. That may be possible, but don't be surprised if they just don't talk about some things that they did talk about before episode 2.
I would imagine that the dog whistle thing in general is not a secret to those communities, but it's more just about having the funding to operate it and make it work. I'm sure there's a lot of people that know exactly how it works or what it is, or maybe there's multiple ways. Maybe there's multiple dog whistles, whether it's an actual sound that they're drawn to or imitating like a nuclear radiation somewhere, or mimicking like having a nuke that could draw it in. I don't know.
And can they draw? And when they turn it on, are they drawing in random craft, or is it like if you modulate it one way, do you get a tic tac? If you modulate it another way, you get a jellyfish.
Oh shit! That's
and then the implication there, at least it seems to me that it suggests if you've got a system that every time you turn it on, something reacts and appears, then it's unlikely. It's likely that thing is automatically responding to you. Like it's an automatic system that you're triggering, right? Because if it were,
it would learn that you're fucking with it.
Why would it just keep showing up if it knew, So it lends, to my mind, some credibility to this idea that maybe there is some kind of automated surveillance network that responds to, like, you pluck a string a certain way and then boom, a tic tac shows up, and that would be a really weird situation to be in.
Dude,
if you just knew that.
This makes me think of John Keel's Egg Tower and the whole concept of the super spectrum, that talks about how everything in many realities exists here, but we just don't see it because our eyes are not accustomed to. And this dog whistle or frequency machine maybe accesses those aspects of reality, and that's why they show up, and that's why people can see them suddenly. It just made me think of that. I found it really interesting that you said it that way.
Well, he said too that the psionic assets are not as reliable as the dog whistle, right? The dog whistle is like works every time. Psionics are sort of like depends on the day. Did they get enough sleep? What kind of mood? Did the guy go drinking? How good are they on that day? Like an athlete, I guess.
And they can't be hungry. They can't be horny. That whole, remember they talked about all that kind of stuff. You have to be in the perfect mindset and the perfect state to connect.
Which makes sense because it's like I'm sure it's similar to when you're in this zone and you're having the best day ever, and like you're driving down the road and every song that comes on is awesome and you're just in the greatest mood, and you pull into the grocery store and the parking space is open and it's like it's like that kind of day. You almost have to be like, you probably have to have 5 or 6 people that are all having that day at the same time.
Everything's coming up Millhouse. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder.
The idea that the idea that the dog whistle might not be luring things over, but rather basically just kind of switching on a screen in the sky that kind of reveals other parts of reality. That I've not thought of that before. That's cool. Was it Clint that you came up with that just there? Or?
I was saying something more along the lines of like Beatrice is saying that there's probably artificial objects orbiting around the planet, right? So like some kind of probe network or sensor network or something, but artificial. Eamon Ansborough suggested something similar back in the 90s. He was saying that there seems to be a satellite network of alien technology flying around the planet, observing us. And every once in a while, it'll send out another scout ship or a little probe or something, and it'll come down and it'll do something. It'll return back to home, and then it'll dock and something else will happen. This was kind of the idea. And so I've been kind of just operating off of this notion that if we are part of this web of, if there's a web of surveillance technology on and around the earth, put here by a non-human intelligence, maybe the dog whistle is the thing that they have figured out how to hack the system and flip a switch and make the shit turn on. And then it dispenses a probe or a tic-tac or something will come down and it'll perform a programmed set of maneuvers or whatever it's supposed to do. They record it, they get footage of it, they get data on it, and then it goes back. That starts to make more sense to me if we're automatic like surveillance web, right? What Skywatcher is doing, if what they're saying is the way these things are reacting based on what they're saying, it sounds like that fits. I don't know if I'm explaining this right, but I think that's the best way to put it.
Where are you at with Skywatcher, Clint, right now?
I think I love the idea. I think that it's made for television. For me, it's like I'm highly suspicious of like the origin of Skywatcher because it just seems too perfect. It's like produced, right? Like they're a bunch of ex-military, super soldiers.
The A-team. They're the A-team.
They're the A-team, but they're also super sensitive and kind of cool. And you'd hang out with one too. Like, like you could sit down and have a beer with these guys, and they're also psychic, and they're also, pilot. There's a pilot and a big, muscle dude with chains, and there's another guy who's kind of old and wise, and he smokes a cigar, and it's like they've got every character. There's a mysterious billionaire who's in the background with an eye patch, and so there's that. But Jake Barber is so earnest and responsive to like the story as he's telling it, and I'm watching his eyes and his body language, and I'm like, he's a very relatable, believable person. So I'm torn. I want them to be legit. I have suspicions that much of what we see is manipulated in some way, I guess I just don't know
on that as well. I don't believe this by any means. Like, I don't believe this is the case, but
sure,
no, I genuinely don't. What if Barbara and all the guys, they were sat in the disinformation boardroom before any of this came out, and he just went, "Hey, how about we film an egg? Let's see if we can get them to buy that the egg is a UAP."
By all accounts, they are very, very stupid people. Let's try it.
I don't believe that's the case, but in some strange sitcom, it's an episode of the A-Team, really, where they just sat around
funny.
like, "Hey, let's just make them think it's let's just get an egg from the supermarket."
Dude, that'd be great, man. Let's do an egg.
With some dental floss and a little tape and an iPhone.
Yeah.
I mean, good Lord. It's just, yeah, I mean, it's exhausting. It's exhausting to stay on top of it. There's a part of me that follows it all the time. Like a percentage of my brain's runtime is always on UFOs and thinking about, like, I feel like I'm on this train that is slowly moving towards some kind of resolution where we're going to get to some answers. And I don't know why, but for some reason I believe, like, once we get there, things will be radically different in a very cool way. But for some reason, I don't know why I think that should be the outcome. Like, the realistic outcome is probably like, we'll learn some of the stuff. We'll probably not learn most of it or all of it. And what we know, we'll never really be sure of. 20 years from now, will we see an alien on a press conference? Probably not. I hope we will. Like, that's what I want. I want to see the guy walk out on the stage.
I don't think we'll ever stop having questions. Yeah. Bring him out.
Glib glorb.
Carefully. He's very sensitive to loud sounds, so please don't clap. He's like a mogwai or something.
Or it could just be like, we never really get that. And what we get is like this, we just are in this weird period where it's a lot of what you see. I heard the rumor I heard about Skywatcher, and it's totally a rumor, so I'll say it because it sounds silly, and I don't endorse this rumor, but it was an interesting one. And they were saying that Lou Elizondo was rolled out as an attempt to sort of disclose a certain amount of information. David Grush was another attempt, but those are two factions that were not united, and that Jake Barber and the Skywatcher team were sort of rolled out as like the better way to do disclosure. It was sort of like they were going to unite the tribes and be more relatable and more like organized and upfront, and just sort of, that's why there's a YouTube thing and they have the series, and it's presented kind of like what TTSA was trying to do, right? Like back in the early days, make a more coherent media presentation. But I don't know. I mean,
it's tough to say.
I think what the intelligence community is probably doing is identifying all the people who are the most, if you respect someone and you look to them for clarity, those are the people that they would also try to compromise, right? Like you would go to a Ross Coulthard, you would go to a Diana Pasulka, you would try to get them, or a Lou Ellis, whoever's out there publicly, that you have to be suspicious of all of it.
Agreed.
I also want to say that the this idea that Skywatcher was either bought or sold or absorbed by another program, I feel like these tweets that came out today doesn't necessarily mean that's not true. You can still put those tweets out and still continue to do some kind of social stuff while still working with others.
Yeah.
So
and
these tweets don't mean that like, oh, that's not true. It could still be true.
if they were absorbed, I would think that it's a government-friendly organization, I would say.
You would think, or some like, maybe some kind of breakaway billionaire, trillionaire, type group too. Who knows?
That's scary.
That's terrifying. I don't think it's that. I hope it's not that. But
well, there was
possible.
a group. This was a story that just broke last week. It was on Politico. They were talking about a privately funded group that was doing geoengineering experiments in California. They wanted to take an aircraft carrier and take it out and use it to basically put up clouds of particulate aerosols into the upper atmosphere to reflect sunlight. and do some radiation management. And this was a whole geoengineering experiment that was going to be privately funded by the Carnegie Foundation, all these different groups. And the news story was about how this is a completely Wild West situation. It's unregulated. You know, you can't just have people running around modifying the weather. That's crazy. And yet it's happening. And it's not just happening in one case, it's happening in a lot of different places. Dubai does it. You know, they do it all over the world. And so it makes you wonder, how much could they really stop a public campaign of trying to contact these craft? If the information about the dog whistle were made public and it was something that people could duplicate, then I don't see how you could stop people. At a certain point, like, the dam just breaks because there's so much.
This is why I love what the Tedesco brothers are doing, because they're completely independent,
right?
And they've been trying to collaborate with all the other public groups. And when I spoke to them, they were like, no, like Skywatcher are flat out ghosting us. I found that interesting. And they have a lot of really great equipment too.
There needs to be a public sort of central hub of like resources for people for UFO hunters or something. There needs to be some kind of way to share data, share information, share experience, expertise, so that if the Tedesco brothers, what is their, do you know what their website is, so we can tell people? They have they're in New Jersey, right?
Yeah, I'll send it to you in a little bit. Hold on.
Okay. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but just for people who don't know what they do, they're pretty cool.
I feel like the best way to really get this stuff moving, and it's something that it's unrelated to UFOs specifically. I know that Greer was talking about this in terms of 0 point energy, but he was saying this thing needs to be like streamed 24/7, like hidden in the daylight more than anything. It's protected by the sun. So like, if the stream is up and anything happens to the stream, you know something's up. And otherwise, it's there for everyone to see, like on camera. And it's the way to protect this is to not shelter it. It's instead is to show everyone everything all the time. And the weirdness would be if that suddenly stopped, it would prove something is wrong. And I've always liked that idea, the idea that you could maybe really just stream 24/7 every single thing, and then if the Black Hawks show up, then like they're shooting themselves in the foot.
I
One
like
problem
that
with
strategy.
But the one problem with that is that if you listen to Skywatcher, they say that when they actually capture images or video, they have to be so lucky to be aiming in that direction, and they have to slow down footage. And like, if it were streaming 24/7, I don't think we'd see much of anything. As far as what they're doing,
I wonder what their video
stream.
I wonder what their video capability is. Like, I wonder what gear they actually are using, because we can get clear footage of a rocket going from the ground into space. Like, we can, and you can follow that with a camera all the way up.
Yeah.
NASA does it. SpaceX does it. You know, they have drones they send up. So I wonder what Skywatcher does bring out when there must be better gear. Like, I'm sure they could get sponsored by like Sony or something. Like, why couldn't they get a deal with Canon or some other company to come out and send like,
well, weren't they asking? Didn't they put like an open invite to people that had like video skills to come and show us what you can do?
They recruited a lot of people though.
Yeah, they did. They were like taking resumes to like, if you think you can help us with like high speed captures or what kind of gear do you have, like hit us up and let us know if you want to come help.
Yeah, it sounded like it was going to be some kind of like, I don't know, much more collaborative group public facing thing, but I guess it can't be. They have to be secretive and organized.
That was before episode 2.
Yes.
After things changed. Also, another part that changed was right after Jesse's interview with Fowler. A lot of things changed too, because there's a part there where Fowler sort of calls out the secret keepers of sorts, because they ask him, Jesse asks him if he can share a piece of information, and he kind of says, no, I'm waiting for these companies or these entities to tell me to stop. That's kind of like what he said, and I found that really interesting. It kind of sounds like they did tell him to stop.
You think? You think that it was like when Pines got involved, that's when things got weird?
I don't know
Or was it
if it
before
was
that?
then. I think Pines got involved a little earlier than that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It smells weird to me. Even if they're denying that this post is not real, there seems to be like a difference of opinion on a lot of things that Skywatcher is doing. And another
Internally.
aspect that I think should be mentioned though is that the whole psionics aspect is a tough one to swallow for a lot of people. And there's people within the UFO community that hear that and they're very nuts and bolts oriented and they instantly snap at it because they don't believe it's true.
Isn't
They
that
don't
weird?
think-
Because there seems to be more proof that psionics is real than there is that aliens are real.
Yeah, and the reaction is really visceral. I found it. It was like, dude, really? Like, you're not even going to look at the whole history and papers and experiments that have been done before about that. It's one of the most documented phenomena.
But remember, like, it's so ingrained in us that that's not how science works. Like, we're from early age, we're taught that, like, mind control is not real. So it's hard to unlearn those things. You can do it, but it's hard for the general public to unlearn that. It's a tough one to swallow.
I think that when we
you are
sorry.
taught that, but everyone like if you ask 10 people, 9 of them are going to have a story about some crazy, unbelievable psychic shit that happened to them.
Yes.
At some, like, everyone's experienced it, even though we all are taught like, oh, it's not real. It's funny. Like, everyone has a history that they can look to and see, like, oh yeah, there was that time or that time. It's not even that rare. It's like you think of somebody and they call you. That happens a lot.
Yeah.
I think that when we learn that these things are not like don't happen just like that they have a process too, and when we stop thinking about them in a taboo fashion, like with the stigma, I think that's when things are going to start changing, because right now the perception is very important, and the initial perception that is like by default when we grow up is that's magic, that's science fiction, that comes from the movies, that's not real. But we lack the understanding of the entire process that goes into, for example, if you want to become a yogi, that takes you years and years to like really master it. I regard it similar to that. And all of those protocols that the psionics people say that they have, that they eat differently, they don't drink, all of that is important too. It encompasses a whole, and I don't think people understand that fully. They think it's not real because they instantly think, oh, that's like magic, like in the movies. It's not real.
Well, yeah, it's like it's a natural thing that everyone can do, but it's not easy. Like sometimes you do it automatically, but it's because it just happens to be the right time, or you happen to be in the right mindset. But I think you're right. Like to do it, to become proficient at it, there must be a very specific set of things that you have to become disciplined at. It's like being a Jedi, right? Like you have to understand this world, and there's rules to it, and there's probably a lot that could be taught to the average person. Like I'm sure you could put together, and people have, right? Like, there's all kinds of different remote viewers do this. The Farsight group does this. And as a matter of fact, we're going to talk to Courtney Brown on the 12th. He's going to be doing an interview, and I'm going to ask him about this, training for that kind of stuff.
Nice.
Remote viewing. That'll be interesting.
Nice.
Well, guys, look, I got to wrap it up because my time is up. Is there anything you guys want to share before we call it for today? What you're up to? What's coming next? What's new episodes? New anything?
I just put a new episode of my podcast, from Others from Another Mother, with David O'Leary, who was the guy that executive produced and created the show Project Blue Book. There it is.
There it is.
And we had a great conversation. He's a great guy. And actually, he'd be fun to have on here sometime. Very chill dude and loves the topic. So check that out, please, and subscribe. Thank you very much. And I love you guys.
We love you too, man.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Pavel, how about you? You've got what, 3 more? How many hours left today? You probably have time to do 3 videos for the end of the day.
I was actually thinking of doing 4. It's just too much happening though, and
Too much.
I prefer those smaller bites of videos that don't go over 20 minutes, and people are like on a rush and just. I find that really better for the algorithm, I think, and I am really afraid of going live still because I think it's really overwhelming, and I don't know if I'll do it anytime soon.
You're doing it now, man. You're great at going live. What do you mean?
Yeah, but I'm a guest. I'm not handling shit like you guys.
You got it, dude. You got it.
You got it.
Yeah, I'll think
Clint's
about
not handling anything. He's sat there. I work all the cameras for him.
That's the secret. That's the secret.
Yeah.
it. But thank you guys for having me. I really love doing this.
Oh man, thanks for being here again. And Xander, there's another Dreamland coming up soon.
Yeah,
60 minutes.
60 minutes from now, we are getting into the top 5, not top 5, let's just say 5 incredible mass sightings, actually, which we've talked about a bit tonight. Including, but not limited to, we've got the Washington, D.C. sighting, which I don't know if Pavel mentioned is related to Beatrice's most recent paper as well, which was awesome. Obviously, we're going to look at the Phoenix Lights, Hudson Valley, a couple others. So yeah, it'd be fun. It's a long one. It's it's hour and a half long, this one. So
yes,
I'm putting links in the chat to others from Another Mother, Dreamland, and Psychoactivo, so everybody can. Of course, you know where to find these guys, but if you don't, you can hit the link and go check them out.
Clint, I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
When are we going to hear about your new project, this new thing you're talking about?
Oh, I've got to. I have to talk to you guys about it first before I talk to anybody else. So we're going to have another. Got to do it offline. It's going to be exciting. So hang in there, guys. I promise it's going to be fun. That's it for us today. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for being with us, and we will see you soon. We've got a kind of a busy afternoon, so no Discord for me today. I've got to wrap it right here, but I will see you in a couple of days. Don't be a stranger. Say hi in the chat. Say hi in the comments. Don't forget to like and share this video. And if you're not already a subscriber, consider subscribing. It doesn't cost a dime. Only takes a second, and it really does help grow the channel. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. Until then, keep looking up.